Welcome to Ponchatoula Live, the show where we make it easy for you to connect with the people of Ponchatoula. I'm your host, Parker Layrisson, and today I've got not one but two fantastic guests. Every once in a while, you see a story that just melts your heart and makes you believe in the goodness of America and the people here, and just that good things happen for good people sometimes. And today's guests are a prime example of that. They have worked harder than any guests I've had yet to get here. We were scheduled to be on air a few weeks ago, and sadly, they were in a car crash, not their fault, but they were in a wreck on their way here. So we had to reschedule. So I'm very glad that they're okay and able to be with us. But I bring to you, with no further ado, Bella Cervantes and her mother, Robin. Bella and Robin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. Bella, as we talked about off air, I've seen you grow from a dynamic, wonderful little girl who won a bike from our law office many years ago to kind of a celebrity around here. You've got newspapers and magazines and everybody covering you, and you've skyrocketed up the soccer ranks. And we're going to ask you about all of that later: your business, your school, your sports, etc. But and why don't we start? And Robin, you can go first if you're more comfortable. Bella, either one of you answer any of these questions, in any order you please. But let's just begin with you telling us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, yeah, I'm a mom of four beautiful kids. My husband and I, we've always lived in the Hammond area. We both went to St. Thomas, Aquinas, and Hammond. We stay busy, mom life, Bella definitely keeps us busy. Just running back and forth between, we're a soccer family, so all
Right.
four kids play soccer, going back and forth. You want to go?
Yeah. So we live in Tickfall, and I play. I'm in like a bunch of different teams for soccer. I love making jewelry, and thank you for having us. Yeah.
Well, I love, Robin, that you mentioned how you're facing the challenge of four athletic kids. They're playing soccer, different ages, different teams. One of my prior guests, my childhood friend and athletic playmate, Kevin Rayford, has four boys, the oldest of whom works for me. But he used the phrase he called sports divorce. And by that, he means he's got a very happy marriage, as you and your husband do. But sometimes you got to be in different ballparks in different cities at the same time just to see kids play. Sometimes there's that, plus you got to get an aunt, an uncle, a friend, a grandma, somebody to drive kids to parks. So I know that's challenging. I only have two boys, and sometimes we're pulled in different directions. So with four, that must be tough. Well, let's dig in, if you will, with Bella's story, because as I mentioned, I got to know her when she was 5 or 6, just a little bit. She impressed us when she earned a bike through our Bikes for Kids program. For folks that aren't familiar with that, they need to know we don't just give bikes to kids out in the community for any reason. They earn them by doing something great. And we were really inspired by Bella's story. She had overcome medical tragedy and adversity, and she was, not only thriving and surviving that, but she was, sharing with other kids and doing things like bringing Bibles to kids at St. Jude, and making bracelets for people to pick up their spirits, etc. So you got somebody really incredible there. If you don't mind, let's kind of go back to when she was baby Bella, before brave Bella, beautiful Bella, or the Bella we see before us today. Tell us about her journey, kind of from start, and we'll dig into some of that other stuff later.
Yeah, so Bella, when
I was 2 years old, my mom noticed, like, whenever she took pictures with like the flash, normally like your eyes are like have a red glow. Well, one of my eyes had a white glow, and she noticed that. And so, yeah,
but she was 2 years old. She was a busy toddler, so busy, and she was the only kid at that point, and she was really busy. She was doing flips, running around. We had a little apartment. Her and her dad would kick a little mini soccer ball, hitting the walls, hitting the couch. So super busy kid. But yeah, when she was 2 years old, it was actually the day she made 2.5, which was crazy. We had noticed something was a little off with our, perfect little daughter. And, it's crazy.
And you mentioned a white glow with
Yeah.
pictures, and I read in one of the articles about you, Bella, that we associate kind of what people call red eye with the flash of a camera, right? But yours flashed white rather than red. Robin, how did you realize something was up medically with that? Because I think a lot of parents may not even know that that was something to seek care for.
Yeah, well, I'd always kind of noticed when Bella would look up at light, I'd see a white reflection off of her eye. And I brought it up to the pediatrician. I wasn't sure what it was, but one night it was all the Lord, honestly. I was just scrolling on Facebook like we all do on a Friday night, and I came across a random article about a little girl in Australia who had eye cancer. And the way her mom noticed it was in her pictures, how you take them with a flash, it was white instead of red, like a lot of us have. And I was like, wait, Bella has that sometimes. So I went through all her pictures on my phone, and in every single picture, not just one, like every picture, her right eye had that white glow. And she was 2 at the time, but I'd seen them, her first birthday pictures had it in it. So she's had this in her eye for over a year.
Right.
And I told my husband, it's like 10 p.m. on a Friday. I'm like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I remember him being like, she's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, everything's okay. And the next morning, when she woke up, I put my finger in front of her eye, and she was completely blind in her right eye, and we had no idea.
Wow. So that had to be I mean, that would be terrifying any circumstances, anytime. But, Friday night, Saturday morning, you can't just go walk in a clinic and see your pediatrician. I mean, you got to wait till Monday, presumably, or later. That's really scary. Now, you mentioned a critical detail there that this was a God thing, right? I mean, because like you say, we're all scrolling on our phone on Friday nights. That's no big deal. But you don't usually see some kind of medical story that may pertain to you or your child. So if you would share with us a little bit, I know you personally, so I know the importance of faith in your life, and we've talked about it. But would you mind sharing that with our viewers and listeners? Because it's really compelling.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's no other reason for me to have seen that article. I believe with all my heart the Lord put it right in front of me, because if I wouldn't have seen it, I had no idea she was blind. It would have, there's no doubt in my mind, it would have spread to her brain. It could have spread, the tumors that we ended up finding in her eye could have spread to her brain. Her remaining eye that she was able to keep could have had cancer. She could have lost both eyes. So I know the Lord put that right in front of us. And it's funny because that was in February of 2015. And about November of 2014, we had got plugged into a local church, Eagle Heights. My husband and I were both baptized. Our kids, we dedicated them to the Lord. So from November to February, it was like, God knew our daughter already had cancer, and he knew that we would need faith, to get through that. So just to know that he loves us so much to put us where we needed to be before the battle of her cancer began, it's amazing.
Amen. Thank you for sharing that. That's such an important message. And I got to say, Bella, you'll see this one day when you have kids. The journey is different with each child. In your case, 1 through 4, mine 1 through 2. But I love how you described your perfect little girl, because the first one just seems perfect. You don't see things. I remember Brandy and I didn't notice our older boy was kind of cockeyed. He had this, I can't remember the medical terminology, but we would learn many months into, later that he needed PT. And it's one of these things, once a doctor, you see that, you look back. But in our case, we just never noticed. I look back, and for 6 months, all of his photos, he was cockeyed. You don't notice with your first child, because things are just, everything's so happy at that moment in life, and you don't know what's different. So you're right. That had to be the Lord's intervention. So you figure this out. She gets surgery. They remove her eye. And, this rare cancer has been something that's inspired y'all to do so many great things. In a bit, I'm going to ask you about the beads and all that. But let's talk about things you overcame, Bella, such as what comes to mind is soccer. Now, we know you today as a soccer superstar who, as you mentioned, plays on multiple teams. You've been playing up for years with older girls. You've been asked to compete with the top, most selective team in the whole state. You travel all around, the country now, or Gulf Coast, doing that. But at one moment in time, people actually discouraged you from playing, thinking you wouldn't be able to do it with no peripheral vision. Would you mind sharing that story with us and tell us about that journey?
Yeah, so when I went to St. Jude one time, we had this social like social worker
Mhm.
who, when I was 8 years old, she told me like I should do a different sport. With one eye, it's gonna be hard with your practical vision to see the field and stuff. And I was like, no, I want to keep doing what I love.
Yeah. That's really neat. And here you are today, having risen the ranks and playing better and more competitively than ever. That's really neat. So, Robin, if you would, talk to us about the importance of family throughout this journey, because this is something, as I understand it, requires regular trips back to St. Jude. And as you mentioned, your family's growing. Starts with what Bella's one of one when you started this journey. She's now one of four. What's that been like for the whole family?
Uh, Family has been extremely important and significant in this. Um, it's funny because when she was diagnosed with cancer, we found out we were pregnant 3 days later. So,
Wow.
and being at St. Jude, finding out that her cancer had a 50% chance of being genetic. So her three little brothers, they have been through it as well. Genetic testing takes over a year to get back. And if it was genetic, there was a 50-50 chance any of her children would have eye cancer, and a 50-50 chance that our boys would have eye cancer. So that was very crucial. So they immediately had to start getting tested and get ultrasounds alongside Bella, and just, Memphis in the winter, as when the babies were born, newborns being rushed off to appointments, because we were back and forth there for a while, once a week, every 2 weeks.
Right.
So they were immediately, but I will say her little brothers are very selfless. They love supporting their sister, and they don't mind, which, some days I'm like, oh, I feel like it's always about Bella, but they don't mind. They love it. They love supporting their sister. And St. Jude makes it fun for them as
Yeah.
well. They look forward to it.
St. Jude's such an incredible place. I've had so many friends go there with children, and you just hear story after story. And I love that you mentioned that they make it fun for not just the patients, but the caregivers, their kids. I mean, they really get it that cancer affects everyone. I've been volunteering with the cancer ministry at First Baptist Church, and they train us in that. And it's a bit counterintuitive. At first, you sign up thinking you're going to be talking to patients only, and then you realize that you have this whole ecosystem, if you will, this whole dynamic, and it's family wide, or sometimes even beyond that, into things like church families or friends, and and so that's neat to hear that your brothers Bella responded so well. Bella, from your perspective, I do remember well one of the reasons you earned your bike was as you were treating at St. Jude's, you were doing things for other kids there. The thing that springs to mind for me was giving them Bibles. Tell us about that. What inspired you as you're going through this as a kid to put the focus not just on you and your experience? I mean, some people would say, "Oh, boo-hoo, this has happened to me. I'd rather be at the soccer tournament back in Hammond." But instead, you're doing things for others. Where did that come from, Bella? What made you be that way or think that way?
Yeah, I just always wanted to inspire, other people or people with cancer, who's going through tough times. And, the Lord has saved my life. So, by giving them Bibles or anything, like they can know, like, anything's possible, if you put your mind to it.
That's really neat. Well, eventually you expanded beyond Bibles to bracelets. So can you tell us how that got started?
So, yeah, actually, in May, I really needed braces. So I was, asked my mom, can I sell my bracelets? And she said, sure. So I sold my bracelets and I had enough money to get my braces. And I have my braces now. I paid them off. And then I was like, wow, people really like these bracelets. So I kind of turned it into a business, and that's where we are now.
And that business is called the Brave Bella Bead Company. Is that right?
Yes,
This,
sir.
folks, this is a legit business. It's an LLC, licensed, registered with the state. My mom, as y'all know, loves beads. She's an enthusiast of all kinds of artistic endeavors, but she loves beads. And she was just elated, Bella, that the two of you would visit her at her little shop behind her house. And she just raved and raved about you and your talent. We have a link here. Our producers have given us a link here to the Facebook page for Brave Bella Bead Company. So if you look into the comments here, folks, you can just go there, click. It will take you right to it. You'll get to see tons of photos of this. And so this starts out. I see the braces. They're beautiful. My kid goes to the orthodontist. He's still at the, what's it called? The thing before braces that you sleep in at night. So we're on that track too. So it sounds like you must have made enough money to cover the braces, right? And I know you're also giving back to others, So tell us about that, how this has grown from maybe a one goal project in braces to a real business that's also a charitable endeavor at the same time.
Yeah, so I don't think that either of us expected it to be a business. She needed her braces. We have 4 kids.
Right.
I'm sure a few of them will need braces, but she was like, Mom, let me sell my bracelets. And I didn't think much of it. I'm like, okay, Bella, I'm not going to tell you no. And it just took off. So she got her deposit, paid that, and then orders kept coming in. And it just grew so fast. So she actually had the idea. She's like, Mom, why don't we just give, all the money to St. Jude? And I was like, well, hold on now. You have to pay for your materials. You have to pay for your string. But I was really, really proud of her for wanting to do that and wanting to give back. So that's kind of how it started. It got big. The community supported her in a way that I couldn't imagine, which they've always been very supportive since her diagnosis. But so I was proud of her for having the idea to give back with extra money.
That's so impressive, Bella. You remind me of my little niece, Avery, who the first time she babysat my kids for us, we paid her, and then she donated all the money to a human trafficking charity that she supported. I was just like, wow, for me, when I was a kid or a teenager, it would be how many baseball cards could I buy, how much bubble gum, whatever I was into. So to see a selfless kid like you is really inspiring. Let's talk about school, if you will, because another thing I understand about your journey, Bella, is that despite being busy playing ball on the road to Memphis to St. Jude, treatments, 3 brothers, et cetera, you maintained like an honor roll status and really did well in school through this. And also on top of that, Robin, you homeschool these kids, right?
Yes.
So, wow, talk about a full plate. Each of you, tell us, if you will, about the importance of education and schooling in your life.
Yeah, so both of my parents went to St. Thomas and stuff. And, I'm actually taking a class in SLU, and, education is teaching me a lot about selling and a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I homeschool all 4 of them. We started homeschooling actually because of the St. Jude visits, being back and forth so much. It was just easier than missing school. I love it because they have time to do things that they love, like make bracelets or train for soccer. But it's a lot. It is a lot at times. Any homeschool mom will tell you, we don't get to just say, okay, go with your teachers now,
Right.
at the end of those Christmas breaks. But I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. She has dreams to go to St. Thomas, like me and her dad, and play soccer. So hopefully we can get her where she needs to be. But yeah, she's taken a young entrepreneur course that's at Southeastern for young entrepreneurs launching businesses. And she has learned so much through that. I'm not a business person.
Right.
She's coming home and teaching me things.
She is already. Tell us about that, Bella. What's it like going to college at your age? What have you learned?
Yeah, it's fun, I learned a lot there, about a bunch of different stuff about business. And it's just taught me a lot throughout my business and like helped me.
Yeah. So your mom mentioned you want to go to St. Thomas, like your parents one day, play soccer. My nephews and nieces went there and loved it. Great school. Do you have plans yet for beyond that? Once you kind of ace the St. Thomas high school soccer scene, what comes next for you?
So for college, I've been kind of debating for SLU and LSU.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been kind of hard because I love SLU soccer and LSU. So I've been kind of debating.
Well, the struggle is real there. I married a woman that started at Southeastern and then went to LSU for graduate school. So sometimes you can end up doing both, like Brandy. But it's funny, my two little boys, wherever we go on vacation, we try to show them colleges. We're really big on education. And so this summer we took this big kind of, you know, a bucket list type trip to Europe. And so we went to Europe and we showed them Oxford in England and, the Sorbonne in France. And wherever we go, they want to come back to Southeastern. They do speed camp there, and they love LSU too because the Tiger. But they're like, Daddy, we want to go where the lions and tigers are back home. So that's cool. You share that interest with them. Well, what else are you into? What do you do for fun, Bella? Obviously, you have a busy life, and I know soccer's fun.
Yeah.
Making jewelry seems like it's a lot of fun to you. Do you have any other interests you'd like to share?
Um, I've kind of just been so busy with bracelets and soccer lately. That's really what I do. Um, so
Books,
yeah.
bracelets, and soccer, that's a full-time gig. Let me ask you a question. And in this question, I would really love to hear both of your answers separately because you've been through so much more in your, is it 11, 12 years? How old are you now, Bella?
11.
11. Wow. You're our youngest guest yet. And you're probably in the top three of best spoken that I've ever had on the show.
Oh.
Congrats on that. It's amazing. But in your 11-year journey, learning about this at 2 and going through the surgeries, the treatments, and everything, yet excelling in the classroom, on the field, etc. What have you learned? And same question for you, Robin, as someone who's gone from a young mom, first kid, to pregnancy within days, and number two's on the way, to this whole journey where you've changed your whole life. But it's worked out so well, to each of you, and it doesn't matter who goes first, but what have you learned in this journey along the way?
Yeah, um, I'd say the most important thing that I've learned is just that stuff happens. Life's not
Mhm.
perfect, and it's what you do with it, and what you make of it. And I always say, this is such an unexpected adventure, but that's the best ones, the unexpected
Right.
ones. um, but I'll have moms reach out or I can't tell you the amount of messages we have on Bella's business page saying, thank you for sharing her story with me. I know now I had all these fears and worries, when my child, I found out they had to have their eye removed or both eyes. And now I know, they can have a normal life. This new normal of ours, it can turn out okay.
Mhm. Right.
So yeah, for me, that's the biggest thing because I remember having those fears and those worries when life
Of
didn't go
course.
perfectly as
Yeah.
planned.
Yeah.
And your new normal can be just as perfect in its own way.
That's incredible perspective, and I appreciate you sharing it. Bella, what about you? What have you taken away from this?
Yeah, I've learned a lot throughout the way, I always want to inspire kids, it's one thing that I've always wanted to do. And it's so cool seeing all these different people, that I've met through relationships. And I just love the people in the community, and it's been great.
Well, mission accomplished. You have inspired kids, and I'd venture to say adults too, for sure. This has been really an exceptional journey, and I know people far and wide, young and old, look up to you. And I need to look no further than my own family. I won't tell you my mama's age, but you've inspired her. She, when I went to see her when she's drinking coffee the day after you came over, she was elated. She's like, Bella's gonna come back and Bead with me. She was so excited. Even though
She sent us
she's
a
much older.
picture.
Yeah.
she cleared out a little space for Bella already and sent us a picture. She's ready.
That's so exciting. That's great. So speaking of inspiration, who inspired you? I'm sure there have been people from your church, from your family, from this medical community that you've met, to, whoever. It could be celebrities, soccer players, you name it. But like when I say who inspired you, who comes to mind?
Yeah, the Lord has been helping me a lot, and He inspires me a lot,
Amen.
because it could be like any soccer players or people, but He's the one who's like really helped me through all this.
Yeah, that's beautifully put. Robin, what about you? Have there been any other inspirations in your life, people that you've turned to for strength?
Yeah, I mean, 100%, the Lord, like Bella said, but also just all the cancer families who's already been on the journey before us. I'm in multiple support groups and things like that, and local families who just have paved the way, basically, that, everything's going to be okay, and just to really help lift me up throughout everything.
Well, we've got speaking of wonderful people, we've got Miss Patricia Vicknair, who we know and love from our community, from our church. She says many blessings to y'all. Miss Pat, thank you for watching live. You are somebody who inspires people all over our community. The thing I want to ask now is, and this doesn't just have to be someone who's going through your exact situation, right? Because I understand that type of cancer is very rare, but someone, and again, Bella, this is, you answer as the kid, your mom will answer as the mom, but someone going through something tough, whether it's a medical scare with a child, any setback, have a dream change. I mean, you stated beautifully, Robin, how you can still have this beautiful life when your dreams change, but it takes a while, I would assume, to get that perspective, that maturity to really understand that as you do. So to somebody who this is new to them, thinking back to like Robin, for you, that Friday night of uh-oh to Saturday, up through those first few days of seeing the doctor or whatever, what advice would you give to folks who are going through something difficult like y'all have been, so they can come out on the other side successfully like the two of you have?
Yeah, so of course, that Friday night when we first realized something was wrong with Bella, it was, of course, immediate panic. Especially being Friday, like you said, Saturday morning rolls around, no one's open. Having to wait, sheer panic, but just having to stop, take a breath, and just repeat anything you go through. You have to know that the Lord loves you so much. I've said it before, but it's truly what I repeated over and over. God loves Bella way more than I do, and I know how much I love her. And just trust in His plan, that His plans for her are good, His plans for me are good, His plans for me are bigger and better than my plans. And it is way easier said than done. We've already, everything with Bella was best case. Her eye containing all the cancer, removing it, getting it out. I mean, it was all best case scenario. So I know it's easier once you've been through it and you're on the other side and able to look back, but just, you have to trust Him. It's the only thing that's going to be able to get you through.
Right. Absolutely. Bella, what would you add to that?
Yeah, and even if things don't seem right, you just got to keep trusting the Lord and go through, and He has a plan for your life.
Very well said. You have been so articulate and well spoken through this whole interview. Now, I know that your family is waiting for the two of you to get back to them. And so I promise you we get out of here in about a half hour. So we're at minute 29. But before we go, is there anything else on your mind, on your heart, anything else at all that you'd like to share with our viewers and our listeners before we close?
I wanted to thank you, Parker, actually, of course, for blessing Bella with her bike. I have to find a picture. She was so cute and small. And she didn't make it easy for you guys. She said she wants a tie-dye bike.
We always love the challenge. We've had superhero bikes and whatnot. So tie-dye was the first. So
and
you've been an
also,
artist for
you
a
had
while
given
now.
our son Matthew a bike too after that. So being a cancer sibling, you know, meant you made him feel special as well. And just for everything you do in the community, you know, it's so evident. And we had gotten home from St. Jude, our last visit, I believe in August, and you guys actually mailed us Bella's newspaper article in the Daily Star. So we didn't have a copy yet. It was sitting at home, and we just felt so much love from you guys. So thank you so much for all y'all do.
Well, that's kind of you to say, but we were just excited to read about her and see this journey progress. You know, it's fun. We this week we had one of our volunteers, Amorion Walker, win a national championship in Michigan with the football team, and he's actually on our website, so that was cool. One of our other bike winners, like Bella last year, an athlete like you, Bella, to show what you can do, was the MVP of the state high school basketball game, Alan Graves. He's now 6'10". So the cool thing, I'm a short guy, as y'all know, I'm 5'7". And so when he got his bike, he was shorter than me, and now he's 6'10". His dad and I are everybody who coach basketball together. So it's kind of fun to have a little proof that once upon a time I was taller than Alan. But it's so fun to watch you. I can't wait to see what Matthew's up to next, because he'll knock it out the park like you have, Bella. But watching you bike winners excel in life has been a real joy for me. And of course, you know, it's not surprising, because the whole reason you get the bike in the first place is for good action, you know, making an impact in your family, as Matthew did as a cancer sibling, in your community, as you have, Bella, or wherever. So that's really neat. So Bella, you are the star of this show, the star of stars. If you wouldn't mind, any last words, what would you like to share before we go?
Just thank you so much for having us. It's really been a blessing to be here.
Well, thank you for that, folks. I promised y'all it would be a special episode. We have not had guests yet that were any better than this. So to Bella and Robin, and especially to your family, probably waiting out in the parking lot for y'all to be done. Thank you all. You're a wonderful family, and I can't wait to see what you're up to.